welcome in everybody to another episode of the High Low Sports Podcast. And a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you choose to celebrate. Hopefully, you're having a great holiday time with your family going on right now as well too. It is DJ, joined as always by my co-host Kelsey. Kelsey, the holiday season is here. It's a great time for giving, a great time for family, and a great time for sports.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you summed it up right there. Great time for everything. And we're in the gift giving mood today too, so we're gonna hand out a few gifts to some franchises. Maybe they're good gifts, maybe they're bad gifts. We don't know. Maybe we're the uncle that gives you a tie, even though you're 12 years old and have never worn a tie before in your life, or maybe we're the cool family member that gives you the Visa gift card so you can go spend it on whatever you want in life.
It's not whether you want it or you need it, doesn't whether you want it or not doesn't matter, but you will need it and you will accept it regardless.
Exactly. Yeah, you have no choice in the matter. You're gonna get it and you're gonna accept it. You're gonna be happy with it. Otherwise, sucks to be you.
Yeah, that's
just it.
perfect way to summarize it up as well too. We got a lot to talk about. We're giving away some gifts. We got some major sporting events to talk about as well too. And let's just say this last weekend was a little bit hazardous in a certain sport as well too. So we definitely got a lot to get into. We're gonna waste no time. We're gonna head right over into our tip off, and our tip off, of course, is where we like to kind of start things off, take a look at the sports world, take a look around the way. But we of course got to start with the big one. And that's the World Cup just ending this last Sunday. One of the better World Cups I can remember as well too. Like I've seen I'd like to think I'm somewhat of a veteran at this point, having seen more than five World Cups in my day, live and in action. This one's probably the most exciting one that I can remember as well too. Is 3-3 going down to penalty kicks as well too, with Argentina walking away as the World Cup champions. We talked about in the last episode, a chance for Messi to finally break through, a chance for France to go back to back, and Messi, Argentina, they find a way to get it done. And for a second there, it looked like you're saying Messi might be the most unlucky player in the World Cup history. That almost came to fruition tenfold as well too. It looked like it was about to happen again. It felt like he was about to have a whole Matt Ryan moment before they managed to hold on late.
Yeah, dude, it was such a wild game. And first of all, let me just go ahead and agree with you. Best final I've watched in my life. Obviously, I think France Italy was before that number one, but this is now overtaken that just because of the insanity of it. Granted, I didn't get to see a Zidane-esque headbutt that got somebody ejected, but I did get to see kind of just two guys going at it. You had Messi, you had Mbappe, basically just going at each other, and who would have thought the difference in this one is going to come down to the surrounding pieces for Argentina being better, more poised, I think is a better way to say it, than France's arsenal of young weapons. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. If you look at their roster, it's just like all 23, 24-year-olds for Arsenal or for France. And you look at Argentina, it's like 25, 26, 27. The guys that are kind of at their peak right now, and they're just like they've never really made their name yet. And they're just, you know what? We're professionals. We can do this. So it was very interesting to see kind of that dichotomy and everything. And yeah, I loved every single moment of it. And Mbappe, I think is in a lot of ways a handing of the torch for Mbappe. He got to really be his, like, this is it type of moment. Like, this is his moment to shine. And he, it really showed out. I mean, Messi had 2 goals himself, but Mbappe with a hat trick, that's absolutely clutch, a hat trick, 2 penalties. And then scores his 3rd penalty, still something that no player, like his penalty in the penalty kicks, like it's just something that's not normal. Players don't just normally do that. That's not something that you'd expect. So it was absolutely fun to watch, top to bottom. And look, if you thought France is done, good luck, ladies and gentlemen, because France is coming back with a vengeance in 4 years. This team, basically the same team that you saw in that final, is going to be out on the field yet again. Maybe 2 or 3 guys that were injured that didn't get to play will show up for the next World Cup. But like for the most part, you're going to look at the exact same team back in 4 years trying to make a second title in 3 tournaments. Like it's insane to think about for France and Argentina. Look, hey, without Messi, you know what? It's going to suck for you guys for a little bit. But you guys, they do have a strong enough team. They have won tournaments before without. But like this is. You lose Messi, you're probably going to lose Messi for the next World Cup. He's probably not going to be there. So I think it's safe to say at this point, unless he tries to go for 2, in which case maybe I take it all back. But yeah, no, this was super fun. Congrats to Messi, and Getting all of Argentina off his back, if you will, because as they once said, he is the flea that fled. His nickname being the Little Flea. And then since he fled, obviously by that they mean he went to Spain and loved Barcelona more than, like, as Maradona once told him, that he is Barcelona by nationality, not Argentinian, because he always played better for Barcelona than Argentina. So getting all of that off his back and get to finally raise a trophy like the best of them. So yeah, no, it's a storybook ending and something that Disney, they're ready to pay about $5 billion for that story.
And then they'll remake it somehow as well too, just down the line before it even gets going. Yeah. But that's neither here nor there. What I do want to point out, something you point out, is if I would have told you beforehand that France's supporting cast was going to get outplayed, then I think we both would have been like, yeah, okay. We would have rolled our eyes at that. We're like, no, okay.
I literally rolled my eyes at that one.
Exactly. Who would have thought that was going to happen? And the next part you mentioned too is Messi probably won't be around for the next World Cup. We'll see, but you can't imagine won't be. Rumors Neymar won't be around for the next World Cup either. He says this was his last one. And Mbappe, you kind of mentioned it. This might be more, I don't want to say the crowning yet, even though I did make the crowning motion the first time. It does feel a lot like this could be his crowning time too, unless maybe, I know Cristiano Ronaldo is considered arguably one of the top 2 players in the world, but he's going to be real old by then. And the World Cup has not quite been, he hasn't really shown out on the World Cup stage to that degree compared to what Mbappe just did in this World Cup alone too. So maybe this was the crowning of the next World Cup superstar as well. I mean, that second half here reminded me of Ronaldinho when he was with Brazil in those early 2000s World Cup, where anyone who was near him was in hell automatically. It did not matter. Your ankles were automatically feeling like ice cubes. It felt like no matter what you did, you were wrong. If there was 3 of you there, all 3 of you were wrong, even if you all did something else. He was in, I don't use the cliche, he's on another level, but he played at a level that I don't think I've really seen personally in a World Cup, and that was just in the second half too. I mean, he obviously was good in the first half, but that second half alone was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, not even just the second. We'll even go to extra time and talk about the second half of extra time. 117 minutes into the game, he slots home a tying penalty. Like that just, yeah. And the calm, the cool, the collection. A guy that who's literally born and bred to run past you has the wherewithal to also dribble past you, to keep his calm in a moment like that. Like he made a play after in the second half of overtime. And he was on the right hand, like right near the corner flag. He dribbles past 2 defenders, cuts past the third, goes to take a shot, and the ball gets tipped away. He goes out of bounds for a corner kick. But he's been running for 118 minutes at this point in time, and he still has strong enough legs to be able to hit 2 step overs, hit a cut, and then also get his leg back to take a full power shot, all within the moment of 2.7 seconds, something that's just irrationally fast, like stuff they used to clock Ronaldo at as just being world-class levels, in his first Manchester United days. Like Mbappe is doing that for fun in the 119th minute of the game. Like that's not normal. And to your point about Ronaldo, honestly, the guy can't even find a club right now. I don't see there's a way that Portugal can play with him in 4 years. And it's already come out that Portugal players are even saying, hey, we play better without Ronaldo. And in a lot of ways they do. And it's a case of, I feel like a lot of them are just ball watching when Ronaldo gets the ball. It's like, it's just what it is at the end of the day. And yeah, it's tough to see that. But at the same time, it's kind of what happens when young players who have grown up watching this dude are on the same field as him, right? Whereas like, if you look at Argentina and Messi, they didn't really grow up watching Messi. They grew up, once they were old enough to get international TV, they started watching Messi. And they would watch Messi in Argentina games, but they never Messi was never that dude for Argentina for real, in the same way he was for Barcelona. So until football was started being carried on international TV waves to Argentina, which really wasn't until the late 2000s, that Messi really wasn't looked at with the same adoration by his own fellow countrymates. A lot of them are of the mindset of the flea that fled. So, it's these guys grew up watching him, but they weren't in awe of him, because also when they did play with him, he was welcoming, he was kind, he was, he welcomed them into the party. He was not he was not Messi the GOAT. He was Lionel Messi, the dude wears the number 10 shirt and the captain's armband, but that will hang out with all of us.
He had a an intimidating aura about him. I mean,
Yeah.
he's like a 5'6". He looks like a regular dude, and then you put him on the soccer field, and oh my god, where Ronaldo has that weird aura about him, where it's like, whoa, hold on, now something's different here when he walks in. It's almost too much, like you mentioned as well too, especially for those young kids. And we agree. I like the comment too. Thank you, RJ. Bopway definitely the future. Where Messi, he walks in the room and it feels like you mentioned you could go have a beer with that guy and hang out. Where Ronaldo walks in the room, you're like, do I look at him too long or do I get punched by security? Like what? Even if he doesn't have security there, you're worried somebody's watching you with the red lens. He just has an unmistakable aura about him as well too. And you mentioned for those young guys that have been seeing him the whole time, it's hard not to get a little starstruck, if you will, as well too. Just being around. It's like I don't want to get Ronaldo mad at me, but you know how it goes.
Yeah, like, and this is a guy that, like, okay, so like Ronaldo has a lot of faults in this, you can say, but the one thing he always did was he gave back to Portugal. He built museums. He did, built libraries. There are tons of names, tons of buildings across the country of Portugal with Cristiano Ronaldo's name on those buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say some 19-year-old kid coming up from the slums in Lisbon sees that and he's like, oh, wow, you're on the library. You have a museum. You have this, you have that. My school's named after you. And I'm on the same field as you. Like, they're going to look at him in awe. Whereas Messi, like, he gave back to the country of Argentina, but he didn't give back in a showmanship way. Like, his name's not on a bunch of buildings. So, like, there weren't kids growing up in Buenos Aires that are like, oh, you're on a school. Yeah, they're not like that. They're like, oh, you were on the school bus as the guy that's doing the Got Milk commercials.
Mm.
Like, that's what they see him as. So, yeah, no, it's funny. But, yeah, and as far as Mbappe goes, man, this is 100% very interesting to see because it's like obviously him and Messi are both PSG teammates. And now he's, so they're going to go back to PSG where Neymar is as well. And they're going to have a conversation about all this. That, like, it's also going to change the way he plays his club football now, Mbappe, after competing at this level and getting kind of, I won't say let down by his teammates, but in a way let down by his teammates. So he's going to compete a little bit harder in the club level, and it's going to make him even better. And honestly, I'm afraid to see in 4 years how good Mbappe can be, because it's going to be. He's already hell on wheels. I don't know what he's going to be in 4 years. Like I don't know. I can't come up with an analogy that's going to be that could even probably like do it justice, because he's already pulling off heroics that you've never seen before from a 21-year-old kid, 22-year-old kid.
So he's 21, 22 in that area too, which means in 4 years he's going to be 25, 26. Like he's just entering that physical
in his prime. Like, yeah.
Yikes, that's going to be like going from Charizard to Mega Charizard real quick. And I don't even know if that's a fair analogy. There's very few analogies I think that could talk about what we expect to see from him. So the future.
Sorry, he's 24 now. He's 24 now. So he'll be 28. He'll be literally in his prime.
Yeah. Charizard to Mega Charizard. I stand by it. It's going to be absolutely fantastic to watch. I look forward to it as well too. And if we're putting betting odds now, France should be the favorite just on that alone, I'd imagine, just because there's so much unknown with a lot of the other players. Where Mbappe, there's going to be a giant chip on this shoulder, and there's going to be a flaming meteor chip on this shoulder as well too, and everyone's going to have to get out of the way.
This is kind of a goofy joke and whatnot, but let's not forget his trophy that he was handed there actually was falling apart in his hands while he was walking around. I don't know if anybody else saw that, but literally the golden boot literally slid to the side of the trophy, like as he's walking around with it. And he was sitting there like, are you kidding me? Like, this is the trash they hand me. So yeah. He has a little extra.
Between first place and second place, it literally falls apart as well, too, like right in your hands as well. So that'll do it for our World Cup heroics and recap there as well, too. Before we leave out of the tip-off, we do want to take a quick moment as well, too, to basically pay our condolences. The NFL world lost a Hall of Famer and a true pioneer in Franco Harris, the former running back for the Steelers, most known for the immaculate reception, being the one to catch the ball and run in on that play. Hall of Fame running back and really the catalyst behind those Steeler dynasty teams. And everyone will tell you, though, especially those first couple, he was the offense for them, put the team on his back, he carried that offense and made things so much easier for everybody else as well, too. The one who got that dynasty started as well, to him, along with Joe Green and squad. So just want to take a moment to remember Franco Harris, everything he meant to the game as well. One of the OG power but fast running backs as well, too. He ran through you when it hurt, but if you got in the open field, you didn't catch him at the same time. Like, he was one of the OG ones as far as recent memory goes that was hell. That he put everybody in hell because it either hurt or it exhausted you trying to take him down.
Yeah, look, I mean, we're talking about a guy. Like, let me just list off his awards in the NFL: 4-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, NFL Man of the Year, first team All Pro, 2-time second team All Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler, NFL rushing touchdowns leader in '76, all part of the '70s All Decade team, part of the Pittsburgh Steelers All Time team, Pittsburgh Steelers Hall of Honor. The number 32 is going to be retired on Saturday, or is still going to be retired on Saturday. So unfortunately, he didn't get to see that, but he is part of their retirement and in the Pittsburgh Pro Football Hall of Fame, as well as a National Football Hall of Fame inductee as well, inducted in 1990. So, like this guy, Franco Harris set the tone for a lot of running backs learned how to play, including now. I mean, you'll still see it now. So it's unfortunate that we do lose him. Obviously, as a Steeler, the Cowboys that I am a fan of obviously went against him a lot. And in those days and age, didn't always come out on the best end of the Steelers matchups. But look, Franco Harris, yeah, you got to say he's one of those guys that you just look at, always think fondly in history. Like history will remember Franco Harris positively forever. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, just what he did for the city of Pittsburgh, as well as what he did for the Steelers on the field, is just absolutely amazing.
Absolutely, should definitely be remembered. And too, on the lighter note, Terry Bradshaw definitely is very thankful for him, because without him, he might not have had a job to win those 4 Super Bowls as well, too, especially those early couple as well, too. So definitely a tip of the hat from Terry, and all of Terry's money that they give away every Sunday for those Fox bets as well, too. So definitely going to remember Franco Harris as well, too. So we're going to go ahead and now wrap up the tip-off as well, too. Now we're going to head into Kelsey's second favorite part of every show, and that is the main event. And the main event, of course, if you're new here, if you aren't new, you already know the drill, but if you are new, they are brought to you by our friends over at manscaped.com. Use code HILOSports at checkout. Get yourself 20% off. We know it's close to Christmas time. You might have forgot to get some gifts. You might have had something lost in the mail. It might not be going. It just might be a little bit late for you as well, too. So don't waste any time. Grab some crop mops for your pops, or the body buffer for the holiday lover. Win this year's white elephant gift and help all the men in your life go from eggnog to nice hog this December by going to manscaped.com. Use that code. Pick yourself up a variety of different products, from soaps. They got deodorants, they got shirts, and of course, they got trimmers as well, too. They got the Shears 2.0 full kit for nails, scissors, clippers, everything you need there as well, too. And of course, the lawnmower as well, too, one of their premier products as well. So Manscaped is here to make holiday shopping a blast by giving them products to love, and it'll kind of make them laugh as well, too. So you'll get to say some goofy stuff like I just rattled off to go along with it as well. So you don't want to miss out on that. 20% off plus free shipping if you use code HILOSports at checkout as well, too. Nice last-minute gift. In case you might have forgot, get the perfect gift that will be the biggest holiday hit as well, too. And you know what? Maybe you have some birthdays around the same time and you hate that person because they have a birthday and Christmas in the same month or within the same couple of weeks, and you hate them. Looking directly at Kelsey right now as well, too, Mr. Early January. Gives you a chance to double down and get them something fun for here as well, too, to go along with this. So definitely don't miss that out. Go to manscaped.com and use that code as well, too. So now that we got that taken care of, Kelsey, there's a lot going on this weekend. We're going to start with choking, though, because there was a lot of choking going on in the NFL. It was a choking hazard in one of the greatest transitions in all of online shows ever as well, too. Going through the NFL as well, too. It started with on the Saturday, a 33-0 choke job with the Colts versus the Vikings. It only got worse from there as well, too, as you go down through it as well. We go on Sunday, Dallas and Jacksonville. At one point, it was 27-7 before Jacksonville came back to win 40-34. New England was up 17-7 before losing 30-24. Cincinnati was down 17-3 at one point before coming back to win 34-23 over Tampa Bay. This entire weekend was a choking hazard, it felt like. So we'll go and just rip the Band-Aid off. Which one do you think was the worst of all of the choke jobs?
I mean, historically, the Colts was worse. But the Colts have been bad all year. So was it like when you saw the Vikings coming back, it wasn't like, oh no, they're just kind of faltered. Like it wasn't. I honestly was afraid for the Colts. I was literally terrified for the Colts that as I watched the Vikings start to come back, because I'm like, this is going to happen. Like they're going to find a way to mess this up, and it's going to keep going. And honestly, until it got to overtime with like 2 minutes left, I still believed at that time the Vikings are going to win this. And then like 2 minutes left, I'm like, this is going to end in another tie, and the Colts are going to end up with 2 ties. This is going to be fantastic. And then obviously that's when the Vikings came back and won. But yeah, I think historically speaking, obviously you have to go with that one. But I think the most impactful is actually the Cowboys-Jaguars. I think that was a hugely impactful one for two reasons. Cowboys fighting for their positioning in the playoffs, because if they win out and they could beat the Eagles, they have a chance at the NFC East title. But with that loss, it now makes it so you have to win out Like you had a 1-loss scenario in there that you had with the Jaguars that you can get away with it. But now you have to come back and you have to win every game to have a chance to get that NFC East title. And you have to hope the Eagles falter, which right now they're not looking like they're going to falter anytime soon. And you're going to be the deciding factor of that this Sunday, anyways. But yeah, like I think that's the most impactful. And then you look at the Jaguars playing for their playoff life, getting a win when they absolutely need it. Young team too, and this isn't a season-long win. Like this win against the Cowboys, against this team, to me, for Trevor Lawrence and this young team, is impactful for decades. Like I won't say decades, but for years down the road. Like this is a win that's going to project them at a higher pace of wins over the next 3 years than if they lost that game. Like I think they were still at a great pace, but I think this gives them a lot more confidence, a lot more growth that they've won. Like you always talk about, you hear coach say, there's no growth in winning. Well, there's growth in this type of a win. In a huge comeback like this, fighting like a team together to come back and win this game, huge victory, not just on the field, but morally as well for these players, that getting their confidence up. I mean, you have guys on the team like Evan Ingram who have just, confidence is let's just say not on their side when it comes to playing football very often and playing high quality football consistently. And Zay Jones, same guy, same concept. Marvin Jones, same concept. And now you have all these guys clicking at the same time on a high level. Trevor Lawrence's growth has been fantastic. I mean, this defense looks a lot better than it did at the beginning of the season. So, I won't say at the beginning, but in that middle stretch of the season there. And yeah, I think that's the most impactful one for sure is the Cowboys Jaguars in my eyes.
Absolutely. I mean, as great as 33-0 looks is the greatest comeback in NFL history. Ironically, against the team that used to employ the guy who had the biggest comeback in NFL history, in Frank Reich, and used to have a quarterback of, I think, the biggest playoff one with Andrew Luck at what he did with the Chiefs. So ironic how comebacks seem to always work their way around that team for worse and for better. But recently,
and on the flip side of things, currently using the quarterback who had the biggest comeback against him in the playoffs.
It's amazing how things work out as well too. But I agree with you. Cowboys, obviously Cincinnati and Tampa Bay, it helps Cincinnati a lot because they're trying to separate from the Ravens a little bit, or at least keep it close for that second matchup. So that's a big one as well because it gives them the lead in the division. But also for Tampa Bay, that division's terrible. They really only need to win like one more game the rest of the way because no one else is winning a game at this point. So at that one, it just helps them hold the state. But I agree with you. That Trevor Lawrence breakthrough game against the Cowboys, it's really going to set the tone for the next couple of years because I think Trevor Lawrence has finally started kind of looking like the quote unquote prince that was promised, that since he was a 13-year-old high school kid, basically. He's starting to finally look that. I think he has like 14 touchdowns to 1 pick in the last handful of games during this little mini streak they're on. His completion percentage is up closer to 70. His yards per attempt, like he looks comfortable. He looks like he's back at Clemson. Doug Peterson's done a fantastic job just undoing Urban Meyer's mess. That's all a bit before they even started this growth process. Christian Kirk actually looks like a relatively decent signing right now. He looks pretty good. Zay Jones. But the one I want to point out too is that offensive line is clicking. Like that was a tough front seven. And I know they had their moments. Micah Parsons with a sack. I know they forced a fumble. They're going to do that.
Parsons with only one sack though. That's the important thing.
Exactly. Like that defensive front is going to put people in hell. It is mandatory. Whether sometimes they have good coverage and they just get through, or they send 5 and you don't know which one to block. Dan Quinn's been a mastermind the last 2 years. They held up really, really well and let Trevor Lawrence get cooking, especially in that second half. I don't even feel like he was hardly rushed in that second half. Like he felt like he was able to throw darts anytime, anywhere he wanted. Sometimes reckless darts, but they worked. So I think that was a takeoff point for them. And if I'm the Titans, I'm a little nervous. I'm looking over my shoulder and that jungle cat's objects in mirror closer than they appear. And it's like in Jurassic Park when that T-Rex is chasing down the Jeep and the mouth gets wide open. Right now, that's a Jaguar, the wide open mouth right behind you. You got to start getting a little bit nervous when your quarterback is banged up. You're struggling, you're faltering, everybody in your team is injured. It's absolutely amazing how back-to-back years they've been arguably the most injured team not named the Chargers. And they're still holding on by a thread. They still have a chance because they do play them again, but it's getting a little nerve-wracking down there as well too. And for your Cowboys, that makes this Eagles game a little more pertinent, not just for the NFC East as well too, but just to have it not feel like last year. Like last year, they went into the playoffs where they basically destroyed every mediocre team and then had like 1 or 2 pretty decent wins here. It was like, well, that's great, but the one good team you played down the stretch was the Cardinals, and you lost. And that got the Cardinals in the playoffs. If you're the Cowboys, you're a little more nervous because you got to play the Eagles. If you win out and the Eagles help you a little bit, maybe you can squeak the NFC East, but we're not betting money on that, like not even a little bit. especially even with Jalen Hurts a little banged up. I'm not betting money on that either.
Well, I might pay $1.
Maybe for this week, but for the full division, I'm not still not betting that all. If you're telling me Gardner Minshew for 3 games, I still think he can win one of them. So, but they're trying to secure that 5 seed game to play Tampa Bay, which, as we joke about, they don't want to play Tampa Bay. Even though Tampa Bay is going to be the worst playoff team, they're the one the Cowboys probably least want to play. So
the one they match up worst against.
So. Exactly. So it's a really tough, goofy situation for the Cowboys. They're still going to be fine. They clinched a playoff berth nonetheless too, so they're still going to be in there as well. But hopefully for them, they can kind of turn around and rally, because I know the interceptions weren't really Dak's fault. Like, one of them, his arm got hit, just pops in the air, and the other one, Noah Brown threw it to the defender. He shock put it to it. There's not much you could do there, but it's a rough look when you've thrown as many picks in as few games as he's played too.
9 interceptions since he's returned, I believe, was what I had.
And that's what, like 7 games too. Like that's rough.
It's been bad. Let me double check that to make sure. But yeah, he has 11 interceptions this season. So yeah, 9 of them came after he returned from injury.
And obviously there's circumstances to all of that as well too, but it does have to be mildly concerning, considering one of Dak's stronger suits at his high points of his career, like his high quality seasons, was the touchdown to interception ratio was always pretty good. But like, even when he threw a pick, he'd always match with a couple of touchdowns. This year hasn't quite been there.
Sorry, 10 of his 11 interceptions have come after his return from injury. I just had to look it up to make sure, but yeah, no, 10 are actually how many. So I mean, yeah, it's bad. And if you look at it, it's a 17-10 ratio right now. It's 17 touchdowns, 10 interceptions since he's returned. But like, really, this is what we're working with, Dak.
At the standard he's held to, especially as well too, you're expecting like a 25-10 at least, something like that as well too, and not empty calorie diet Dr. Pepper ones. You're expecting something a little bit different, especially the way Tony Pollard and Zeke have been playing too. Like, Zeke's actually looked pretty good recently as well too. Not as explosive, but he's been very effective. He's not giving you 1 yard in a cloud of dust. He's actually giving you productive carries, while Tony Pollard is still as explosive as anybody in the game. So it's a little concerning. It's kind of like 2 opposite trajectories with the quarterbacks as well too. One of them, it's like, well, you're not playing bad. We're just kind of expecting more. And one of them, it's like, holy cow, we had low expectations. You're blowing those out of the water. Because I kind of always said this year does not count for Trevor Lawrence, because Doug Peterson gets a full year to undo Urban Meyer. Because that was unfair, but it took him half a season, and they've already managed to do that. So if the skies are looking very bright for the Jaguars, Tennessee is nervous. Long story short, Cowboys, you're in the playoffs, but you're a little bit nervous about what is going to yield it the way things are going as well. For the other comeback, Cincinnati at Tampa Bay, I think we both kind of were just more surprised that Tampa Bay even got out to such a strong start like that. Not so much the final results.
Yeah, like, we both had the Bengals in that game. So like, at the end of the day, like, we were expecting the Bengals to win, but like, not if you had told me that's how they won, I'd no, that's not right. Not right at all. Especially to start the game off with a Carlton Davis interception on a tip pick. That would have not been my assumption there either. But yeah, like, that game it very much shows the Burr-ness in Joe Burr, if you will, just the cold-heartedness he can bring to the table. And it shows how bad Tom Brady really has gotten this year. I think I won't even put it all on Tom. I'll say Tom and his receivers, the connection there is not good at all. Like, it is atrocious in a lot of ways. And I mean, yeah, I don't know how else to say that, like, in a nice way or anything. Like, that's just, it's been bad, and it's not gotten better. And I didn't think Gronk was that necessary for him to be decent, but evidently he needs Gronk to be decent. Cade Otton has been absolutely tearing it up, but then he forgets he plays on the team for like half of the game. He's like, that's not Gronk. I don't want to throw him the ball. And then he remembers in the fourth quarter, oh, wait, that guy's good. I need to get him the ball. And it's too late by that point in time. You can't come back from that. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the Bucks, but yeah, don't say that around Skip.
Don't worry. We won't unleash. We don't need anyone getting their credentials completely yelled at for no reason over a man crush. We could agree he's had a very miserable season, especially by his standards. Yeah. And honestly, when we see him make those mistakes, it reminds me of when you're playing like Xbox or something and something stupid happens and you get pissed and you start trying to press it, and then you almost end up throwing a temper tantrum, more or less, and it kills you. That's what it feels like happens every time something goes slightly off with him. You see him basically rage trying to throw a pick while getting hit and it pops in the air, or rage step up into the pocket trying to rip a dart between triple coverage then getting sacked and losing the ball. Like it looks like he's pressing and throwing, for lack of better words, temper tantrums mid play when things don't start going well. And it's very uncharacteristic since he was like the OG Joe Burr, if you will. He was the calm, cool, collected one for the last 20 years.
Probably, yeah. I still think you give them the ball 2 minutes to go. You're kind of playing with fire there, but
I'm not risking it. But like in those,
yeah, like, I'm not going to play with that fire. But yeah, like I feel a little less. I feel like we're dealing with a little smaller flame this year than we have been in the past. But no, I think it shows the impact of having an offensive line you trust too. Because I think that's been the biggest issue for the Bucs right now is you look at that offensive line, no Tristan Wirfs. They lost Ali Marpet going into the season, and then he was out at center for what was it, 5 games total this season. He's lost his center, and now there's like been movement in the line, and if you don't get comfortable with the line, you don't trust the line, you guys just don't feel right. This is what happens, and especially if they've never worked with you before. Hearing the different coverage calls that somebody like Tom Brady has versus somebody like, I don't know, who's a mid-level Kirk Cousins gives you, it are completely different things. And so that does play a whole lot into it as well. Plus, again, where's their running game? It's just non-existent. You've gone to the rookie, and look, rookie's done well, but not four tutty Lenny like we've been getting in the last however many years. And maybe you shouldn't have let Ronald Jones just walk at the end of the day. Like, this is, I don't know. There's a lot to go into this, but you really revolve around that offense, and then obviously the injuries as well to their defense have not helped them at all. But that offensive line especially just is not helping Tom Brady at all.
It feels like the entire base was taken out from underneath, and now the entire thing is collapsing on top of it as well too. And yet we say all this, and they still might make the playoffs, and they still, not a lot of teams are looking forward to playing them round one. Mostly
probably going to get a first round win.
Yeah. Unless someone in the NFC South can suddenly go on a nice 2-game win streak, and then it's over. But we'll have to see. There. That's a lot to ask for in that division as well.
Yeah.
There's
ask any Saints fan. There's hope. There's only 2 things that need to happen for the Saints to do that. The Bucs need to lose a bunch, and the Saints need to win everything. Oh, okay. There's only 2 things. Sorry.
Yeah, win out and then hope. They're your 2 goals. But
win out and pray.
Win out and drop to a couple knees and pray. But that'll do it. Now for the choking hazards. Now we're gonna get into the fun time. It's Christmas time or Hanukkah time or Kwanzaa time, whatever you celebrate. It's a season for gift giving, so we're gonna give out some gifts across the sports world as well too. And Kelsey, I'm gonna let you go first as well too. We got a handful. We're gonna give out to different teams, different fan bases, different franchises, different sports. Kelsey, you got a good one. I'm gonna let you take things right off the top.
All right, so I'm gonna start out with kind of the darling of this NFL season in a lot of ways, and I'm going to give a giant wheelbarrow to somebody. All right, giant, and I'm going to make it gold. It's a giant golden wheelbarrow, and this man is Brock Purdy for carrying around them giant, whatever Mr. Irrelevant balls you have, sir, and turning yourself into Mr. Relevancy. Because right now, I don't think there's a better, there's not a more shocking quarterback in my eyes this season than what Brock Purdy has been able to do. Period. Point blank. Look, I'm not saying the 49ers are a bad team by any means. But you look at injury reports and you look at the team that's on that field, and that is not the same team. Like, that team is not supposed to be that good when there's that many injuries to it. It shouldn't happen. But you give a guy like Brock Purdy some weapons like CMC. You give him George Kittle to block and run routes. Look at what he does. I mean, I look back to the touchdown pass against the Bucs, I believe, 2 weeks ago, where he fakes a bubble screen to the left, he fakes an orbit screen to the right, and throws it to George Kittle up the middle, wide open, splitting two linebackers, and just watches George Kittle walk into the end zone. I'm like, that's a play that you draw up for a 7-year vet. That's not a play you draw up for Mr. Irrelevant in this last year's draft. That is just, like, I would never do that. I would never, ever put Brock Purdy in that position. And I guess that's why maybe I should tag team this and give Kyle Shanahan his own little wheelbarrow at the same time, because, like, the balls to call the plays that he does with Brock Purdy at quarterback, it's almost like he did not care who's at quarterback. It's like, yeah, they're all the same to me. They all can do the same things. The only difference is he runs Trey Lance into the ground. Like, that's the only difference between the 3 quarterbacks. He runs Trey Lance in the ground, whereas, like, Jimmy G does not keep any of the keepers. Brock Purdy does keep some of the keepers, but he doesn't get hit. And he's making great passes as well. And it's just like, I don't know what to make of Brock Purdy. I keep waiting for the other shoe to fall, but right now it's not happening. So I'm giving a golden wheelbarrow to Brock Purdy for the Christmas season.
Speaking of that, wheelbarrow, code Hilo Sports at Manscaped, get yourself 20% off and some free shipping as well, too. Speaking of wheelbarrows, but now that we got the shameless plug out of the way, the first gift I'm going to give, I'm going to stick in the NFL. I'm going to go to that team in Indianapolis. I'm going to give them something that I'm going to give their fan base something, honestly, as well, too. I'm going to give them a hot tub time machine because right now you got Nicholas Foles starting the next 3 weeks for him as well, too. It's been a miserable season, and only either A, you're going to have to watch 3 more weeks of miserable game, or they're going to somehow win too many games this time, miss the playoffs, and just miss out on the chance at least a draft pick that gives you a little bit of hope. So I'm going to give the Colts a hot tub time machine so they can fast forward through this next month or so and begin quote unquote mock draft season and free agency season. And weirdly enough, some of our favorite time of the year is the NFL draft season. So I'm going to get the Colts fans out of their misery, get them through here, just get them through the season, get that hot tub time machine, fast forward a little bit. And honestly, we can also figure out what they're going to do with some of these players as well, too. We'll see who's on the chopping block, who's up for trade, what can you do? Because we talked about foundation in Tampa Bay collapsing. Well, we found a whole lot of mold and a whole lot of termites in this Colts foundation, so they got a lot of work to do. Oh, and you got to go get yourself a head coach and maybe a GM, too, and rebuild the entire coaching staff because you fired them periodically throughout the year and brought in guys off of ESPN. So if you're looking, we're still hiring. So you've noticed that you said directly NFL coaching experience does not matter. So, hey, if you're looking, I mean.
Hey, I have college. I have a walk-on experience for practice. If you need hands-on experience, I have that.
Like somewhat student coach at one point. Just give it a try. What do you got to lose? Give me a tryout. I mean, why not?
Have watched more film than Jeff Saturday. Than Jeff Saturday.
Well, just give it a try. But anyway, I digress. The point is, Colts hot tub and time machine. Get out of the rest of the season. So next, all right, Kelsey, what's the next gift you want to toss out?
All right, I'm just taking the same realm of existence here of the time travel scenarios here, and I'm giving the time turner from Harry Potter. You guys know that necklace that Hermione had that you spin around, you go back in time, and you come back. That's a time turner. I'm giving that to the Denver Broncos and John Elway and letting them go back in time and rethink this entire Russell Wilson idea, and maybe don't give him a contract if you're going to trade for him. Maybe don't even trade for him and just maybe keep everything and then draft a quarterback. Maybe that's what you should have done. Either way they choose to go with that, I give the Denver Broncos the time turner to try to make up for this abysmal thing that seemingly I am the only person in the world that seemed to think that they were going to be as bad as they are. They are 1 win away from my projection. I gave them 3 wins. They're sitting at 4 right now. And honestly, if it wasn't for whoever's playing quarterback for them right now, they're going to sit at 4 for forever. But they have a better chance to insert guy here than Russell Wilson. So take that for what it's worth, ladies and gentlemen.
It does also help when Kyler Murray does not play in that last game as well, too. Otherwise, they might be sitting on those 3 wins like you hope for as well, too. And Colt McCoy getting hurt to where Trace McSorley had to play in that game as well, too. So, who knows how close they were to be sitting at 3. And we all kind of, you and I both agreed they were going to be the worst team in the division. We both thought the Mr. Unlimited hype was a little bit high. While you did say their record would be bad like this, I don't think we expected it to look like this, though. I think the way
this is way worse than I honestly,
even worse than our really low expectations. Insert the meme of our expectations were low, but holy F, what is this? That's what it looks like because of
there's 10 levels of crap, my actual expectations, and then there's another 40 levels of crap, and where they're actually performing at offensively than I was expecting. And I'm just I didn't think you could get worse than what I was actually thinking you could, but you did. I thought at least the run game was going to look good, but one of the running backs doesn't play on the team anymore. The other one doesn't play on the team because he's injured. So I don't know what to make of it.
I expected their pass defense to be okay, but I thought defensively that just the teams they had to play would struggle a little bit. And I thought offensively they'd be so dependent on Russ that he would have some high volume touchdowns, but high volume picks. That's kind of what I expected, where it's they have their moments, but they're always go swimming upstream. Right now, they're drowning downstream with an anchor attached to their neck upside down into a waterfall with a Gyarados chasing them. It just makes no sense what they're going through right now. It's absolutely terrible. And, all of Seattle.
Gyarados definitely started out as a flopping Magikarp when it started to.
And then
they're this isn't so bad. We can recover from this. Rage-induced Gyarados.
Yeah, that Gyarados got sick of watching them struggle and got pissed to go chase them. That's how bad it was. It evolved out of rage. We could go on and on about the mile-high struggles there, but they can use Hot Tub Time Machine 2.0 and some as well too. Go draft
use the time turner to get rid of Russell Wilson and then use the Hot Tub Time Machine to get ahead into the draft season next year.
Just take Brock Purdy in like the 6th round instead, and then call it good from there. Like plenty of options. But next I'm gonna take a step into the NBA now, and I'm gonna go into the desert. I'm going to the Phoenix Suns, who have been struggling quite a bit recently as well, too. I believe 4-6 in their last 10. Basically, the theme of it is I want them to get their swagger back. So the gift I'm going to give them is whatever magic juice that the Nets have been taking for the last month or so. Because the Nets have quietly gone 9-1 in their last 10. And now those two teams have the same record at about 12-13 or 19-12 or 19-13. Which, to ask us that a month ago, we were both like, nah, the Nets are abysmal and the Suns look like they're rolling again. Suddenly they're on even footing right now. They're both 4th in their conferences. So whatever magic juice the Nets have been taking to quietly be the best team over the last 10 or so games, give that to the Suns to right now. You got Mikal Bridges and DeAndre Ayton yelling at each other during another team's free throw. While you have that team literally sitting there clapping, cheering it on, like, hey, you guys are self-imploding. During someone else's free throw, your two players are bickering in the way. They're standing in the middle of the free throw. It's looking ugly in the desert. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if they need to trade DeAndre Ayton. I don't know. Whatever. They need a little bit of magic juice. That's whatever magic juice the Nets have been taking. That's what they need. They need to get a little bit of their swagger back. They need to get some mojo and just get out of their own way, because right now they're turning into a solar eclipse as opposed to the rising sun. So give them some magic juice to turn things around.
Yeah, definitely need it. I mean, like, they're not far out in the West. They still have home court advantage, but falling the way they're doing is not a pretty sight, to say the least.
Yeah, you go from like the comfortable 1 seed to sitting at the 4 seed in the West now. And honestly, with the way the other teams have been playing, they could be climbing as well too. So I mean, they're far from out of the woods. They're not that far from those top couple of seeds, but at the same time, with the expectations and where you were, it's like trajectories. It's you got to take a break here.
Here's where they're at in life. They're a game and a half ahead of the Kings.
If that doesn't get much more miserable than that.
The Kings are sitting in 6th place in the West, by the way. That's why I say that.
And honestly, they've been 6-4 in their last 10 too, so they've been doing pretty decently overall as well too. Much to our surprise, sitting at 6 even though we kind of talked about them maybe making the play, and I don't think either one of us expected the 6th seed.
Doc, I don't expect anything out of the Kings ever. I as a Kings fan, my biggest shock in life is the Kings even remotely winning 3 games in a row. So,
or even 3 games in a week.
Yeah, there you go.
Or 3 games in 2 weeks. I mean, 3 games in a month is nice.
Yeah, 3 games in a month is fantastic. 6-4 in the last 10. I'm ecstatic right now. I don't know what to do.
They've already exceeded expectations for you for the entire season now as well. So,
there you go.
So Suns with needing a little bit of magic. So what are we looking at for your next gift?
So I'm gonna jump in the NBA as well. I'm gonna go with a touch of gold. And by that I do mean kind of like the Midas touch of gold. This is kind of a play on their color scheme changing. So since the Cleveland Cavaliers changed their color scheme this season, they have come out barnstorming now. Now, if you don't know what I mean by their color scheme, it's very simple. It is the red color, crimson, maroon, whatever color you want to call that red. Is that it is? Sorry, yeah, wine and gold. It is. They've actually inserted gold into their official color scheme now. It's simplistic. It's very awesome. But since adding that as a main part of their color scheme, they're 21-11, sitting in third place in the East. And by the way, dominating at home. They're sitting at 15-2 at home right now. This young start Cavaliers, I got to give them the touch of gold here, because not only is it fitting and looks good on their jerseys, but man, they're doing well with it. Let's just put it that way.
And Tad, on top of that too, they lead the NBA in point differential at +6.5 as well too. So when they're winning pretty comfortably. So touch of gold, the Midas touch is very fitting as well too. And maybe they'll be hosting up a gold trophy the way they've been playing as well too. Very possible, especially with Donovan Mitchell looking better than he ever has on top of it as well too. So a very dangerous team at playing at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse right now. So next up, I'm going to step off of the hardcore. I'm going to step into the octagon. And this gift is very, very simple for UFC fans. I'm giving everyone on the UFC roster a bubble, but not just like a bubbles that you blow, like not those ones that you get in a stocking stuffer. I'm talking about like Bubble Boy, where you wrap every single fighter up so they can't get hurt, because there is a lot of fun matchups on the horizon over this next year. And the last thing you want is the injury bug making its way through everybody's veins and terrorizing everything. You got options for a Francis Ngannou, John Jones, a Stipe, John Jones. You got the 145 champ Volkanovski taking on Makachev's the 155 champion. There's the Alex Pereira Izzy Adesanya rematch if that happens as well. Like, there's a lot of options here, and I can go on and on and on. Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman 3. Holy cow, that could be an absolutely epic trilogy. The only thing that can make it worse is if the injury bug decides to peek his ugly head out from underneath the bed like a bed bug and start crawling his way through everybody's life and ruining everything. We already know money, contracts, and other things are going to get in the way as it is, as we saw with one of the more recent ones with Paulo Costa not fighting Robert Whittaker because of money. You don't need the injury bug to come in and ruin it too. So UFC, you're getting an entire roster of bubbles to keep everybody healthy, safe, alive, and healthy. No main events lost to injury this year. That is the goal. That is our goal. Ideally, no co-main events either as well too, but baby steps. So everyone gets a bubble on the UFC.
Take one at a time, though. We'll take what we can get.
Exactly. So baby steps, one at a time. So TLC, what are we looking at for your next holiday gift?
I'm going to give some queso dip out here. I'm giving Kylian Mbappe a big, huge heaping bowl of queso so he can dip that giant chip on his shoulder into something. So at least that way he can get through the next 4 years without gnawing on his own leg or something, trying to get back to the World Cup final. Look, man, we all know what he's about to do for PSG for the next few years. Absolutely going to be dominating. He's been dominating as it is. But, look, I got to give him something to chew on because right now he's ready to chew through anything you put in front of him to try to get through. So give him some queso dip and hopefully some really nice quality queso.
Like straight out of a restaurant queso too, not like something you buy at the store and you make it home. Like this is the ones where you pay extra for a queso, like where they charge you money for the queso and you're like, I'll do it.
I mean, just all I will recommend is you don't put any Argentinian cheese in there.
No, that'll give you gas.
I don't know if that'll go over well.
No, that'll have a gassy after result as well. So definitely get some cheese for that chip as well. Next, I'm going to go back onto the football field as well too, and I want to go back in time to our heyday as well too. Those of us who were around then, they know about this one. Reggie Bush, you may have your Heisman back, good sir. He won, for those who don't know, won the Heisman after the 2005 season. One of the most electric seasons we've ever seen, eye test wise, especially. He was box office. That's the only way to describe him. He was dating a Kardashian in college. That's all you need to know at that point. Before it was cool / a mandatory at that point. Like
he dated the Kardashian in college.
Like he was the OG of all of them as well too, to do it as an athlete. And he lost his Heisman due to, for lack of better words, money and that sort of thing as well too, and violating NCAA rules when it came to money and basically handouts, that sort of thing. Well, the way things have worked out, basically, it's been determined that it was kind of ridiculous for him to lose his Heisman. He's been all over Twitter going after, I think it was Mark Emmert, the NCAA commissioner as well too, going right at him, but no holds barred. So Reggie Bush, have your Heisman back and take a 5 for 5 from Wendy's. You could stop the commercials, get the Heisman there as well too. Get yourself maybe take 2 Heismans at this point as well too. But you don't have to do those Wendy's commercials anymore.
You can have one of Matt Leinart's.
Exactly. Like he doesn't need that one as well too. So you could have that one. Then maybe give Vince Young one or just a random one as well too, because he probably could have got one during that time as well. So Reggie Bush, take back your well-deserved, well-earned Heisman as well. And that way we don't have to hear about it anymore because we all know he was the Heisman Trophy winner that year. We watched it with our own 2 eyes. That man terrorized college football in a way very few players have done from a non-quarterback position in recent memory.
The man went behind the back on a football field with a football and dodged an opponent on a punt return. Like, hey, I can't describe to you how stupid that sounds saying it out loud, but then seeing it in person was even dumber because you're like, this man pulled a basketball move in cleats on turf and it worked. Like, we're not talking Mike Daniels practicing your crossover coming off the line against a cornerback type of a move. No, we're talking a straight up taking the football, wrapping it behind your back, dodging an opponent, sidestepping, and running the rest of the way into the end zone. Like that's how stupid good athletic Reggie Bush was. I don't think he should have ever had it taken away from him to begin with, but I digress.
It was so good that he would carry the football like a loaf of bread all out and casually, and it did not matter because no one could touch it anyway. They couldn't touch him in the first place. He was as explosive and as electric as they came as well. So Reggie Bush, take back that Heisman as well. All right, Kelsey, last gift. What are we giving out for you today?
Last one. I'm keeping this sweet and simple. This person is getting a pillow and a blanket. This person is Mac Jones after he got sent to Valhalla by Chandler Jones after his team just decided to, I don't know what they were doing, but they were obviously on something in that Vegas air. I don't know what was floating around, but Yeah, whatever it was, it got Mac Jones laid out for no reason. That man's head bounced like a basketball. Chandler Jones looked at him like, I'm sorry, but I have to do this. And even looked back like, wow, that was that.
I might have gone a little too far with this one.
Like, that was the dirtiest stiff arm in the nicest way. Like, I don't mean like dirty. Like, I mean, that was just disgustingly beautiful of a stiff arm. And I'm giving a pillow and blanket to Mac Jones. Just take some rest, man. Don't submit yourself to any more of this Patriots offense that is being run by Matt Patricia. Like, just take a seat, claim concussion protocol for the next 3 weeks. We all understand. It's okay.
Just the look on Chandler Jones' face, like, man, that you don't deserve this, but it has to happen as well too. Like, I don't know what happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas. What he had to go through, that is going to fall around with him. He should demand a trade afterwards. Like, Jakobi Meyers, we're done. I'm not throwing the ball anymore. Matt Patricia, we are done. This is over. I'm demanding a trade.
Why is Jakobi Meyers throwing the ball 20 yards backwards to the last person on your team? Also the slowest person on your offense by a long shot, self-proclaimed slowest person on your offense. He's literally standing back there like, okay, why didn't Ramondre go down? Okay, why is Jakobi going down? Why are they throwing why is the ball coming back to me? And then you got Chandler Jones like, Mac, what are they doing, dude? I don't know. Oh, wait, is that ball coming back towards us? Mac, I'm sorry for what's about to happen. And that is how that conversation went between them.
Why?
Yeah, like, and Mac's like, what? He's just like, well, sorry, bud. Like I feel bad for Mac. I don't normally feel bad for former Alabama quarterbacks, especially not Patriot quarterbacks ever. But I actually kind of feel bad for Mac Jones this season. This has not been a good one to watch.
He needs to demand a trade gather. Let Bailey Zappi take over because they actually seem to like him and respect him there as well too. And you know what? Maybe Bailey Zappi and Matt Patricia have a weird mind connection. I don't know what it is, but Mac Jones, get out of there and hopefully you're able to heal up because that was completely unnecessary. Off season, we'll work on your ankle grabbing, just shoelace tackle form or something like that.
He tried. He tried. He's dealing with a concussion to that, but his head is still bouncing at that point in time. Like, he did what he could.
Yeah, there's only so much you could do at that point. So for the last gift I have as well too, we're going to college football in Georgia. We're going to grant Stetson Bennett one more year of college eligibility. For some reason, he seems to be the guy down for the Georgia Bulldogs. He's played there for 12 years, it feels like. Get yourself a 13-year vet as well too, with Stetson Bennett. Found himself in a Heisman Trophy race somehow this year. Give him that 13th year. I think there's a good chance he might be able to make his way into yet another Heisman Trophy running. I'm not going to say he's going to win it now. I think we'd need about 4 more years of eligibility for that, but give him 1 more year of eligibility and let the Stetson Bennett train roll. Keep it going. Georgia, 1 more year of Stetson Bennett. Term limits, college graduation. There's no more of that. 1 more year, 1 more year. It makes no sense how you had JT Daniels, but you had your best success with Stetson Bennett. It just makes no sense.
Dude, it gets crazy. Okay, so this man graduated high school in 2016. 2016, okay? Walks on to Georgia. Georgia at the time has oh wow, now I can't think of his name. And says who?
Jake Fromm.
Yes, Jake Fromm as their quarterback. Justin Fields commits to the team that season. He says, nah, forget this, I'm out. Transfers. Comes back to Georgia in 2019 after Justin Fields transferred. And somehow at this point in time, he's still only a sophomore, and it's 2019. Then you have 2020, 21 with the backup to JT Daniels. This man has been a backup to the following quarterbacks. He's been a backup to Jake Fromm, Dwan Mathis, Jamie Newman, and then JT Daniels, all in a matter of 4 seasons, technically. Can this man just finally get to the NFL or just stop playing college football? I don't want to see him in a college uniform anymore. Like, this man is nearly my age in a college uniform, and he's played as many years as I've existed in a podcast. In actually twice as many years as we've had this podcast, he has been playing college football.
For reference to him and Lamar Jackson are the same age. Just for reference, him, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow are all about the same age as well too. And take that's what it was for when it's worth too, because if I'm not mistaken, Lamar Jackson won the Heisman in 2016. Whereas
Yes.
that's how long ago it's been. So take that for what it's worth. At this point, Stetson Bennett is going to be a career college football player. It's going to be like the movie, the one with Pauly Shore, I think, where Pauly Shore lived at the college basically as well too. I can't remember what it was called. It's a very old.
This is going to be Van Wilder.
That's a good way to look at it. The point is Stetson Bennett, career quarterback at Georgia. They will take no more Georgia quarterback recruits. Still, Stetson Bennett retires completely. So one more year, keep the train rolling. We'll see if they can bring in another 18 5-star recruits to bounce around him. So he'll still continue to go. So that'll do it for our gift giving episode of the main event. We're going to end on a lump of coal right there as well too. And we're going to head into Kelsey's favorite part of every show, and that is the crunch time, brought to you by our good friends over at Outlier. Use the link in our bio, outlier.bet/high-low sports. Sign up for a free trial. Bet smarter, not harder. All you need from trends to betting odds across multiple sports books and what they've done throughout the season to help you make the right bets and put some money in your pocket as well too. And Kelsey, speaking of bets, we're going to say Cray decided to hedge his bets on this one and decided to change his direction and go from signing with the Giants on a big 13-year deal. Now he's heading to the opposite coast, and he's going to be joining the New York Mets, it looks like, as well, too, for a similarly big deal. But as the Giants fan here, what are your thoughts on that one? Is it as bad as it sounds, or was this maybe a subtle bullet evasion?
Let me just go ahead and say thank you, Scott Boras, for being the agent that you are. Thank you, Steve Cohen, for throwing blank checks at players because you think that'll help the Mets. And thank you to the Giants medical staff for whatever pause you put into the system to stop this 13-year, $345 million contract from going through. Because, as I said the last episode, or the last time we talked about Carlos Correa, dumbest move in the history of the Giants organization, because you already have Brandon Crawford, who can still give you 130 games with a higher win above replacement than Carlos Correa can. Diving into this, that man has been on the DL 8 times in the last 7 years. He has been on the DL more times than he has been a professional baseball player. What? He has missed over 40 games in 4 seasons. The only time he has played a full season was the 1 year that he was with the Astros that they went and won a title. I've had time to sit on this one, and I was accepting of the fact he was going to be a Giant. I had just accepted it. It was just like, you know what? It won't be so bad. It'll be fine. Brandon Crawford's still probably going to play shortstop the majority of the time anyways because Correa's going to be hurt, so it's okay. Whatever, we'll deal with it. Wilmer Flores will be the second baseman. It'll be okay. You know, the bats get better. Yeah, the bats get better. That'll make it okay. And then, like, today, the news broke. Actually, the news broke overnight, and I was like, I can go to sleep finally. Like, I literally woke up to my phone going off. I looked at it, and I was relieved. The stress just, I've told this so many times. I have experienced 3 titles as a Giants fan. I am good with winning titles forever. For any sports team across the board, I am fine with my life now. I've experienced a national title at Auburn. I've experienced 3 World Series trophies with San Francisco, and I've experienced a Stanley Cup trophy with the Sharks. All right? I'm good. I don't need another trophy as a fan of anything. Oh, and I've been Champions League trophy and Premier League trophy with Liverpool. So I'm good. I'm good. So I was just accepting of this. I was like, whatever. But man, I was like, thank God it's over. Carlos Correa, go enjoy yourself. New York's second child, who is a terrible franchise. Talk about poverty franchises. They may have money, but that's a poverty franchise right now. They're just throwing money at people, just hoping it could fix a Band-Aid. And as we've all watched over the last 10 years of baseball, throwing money at problems does not solve the problem anymore. Throwing money at the problem just makes the worst teams that have a lower payroll better. Looking at you, Guardians. Maybe you can actually sign somebody from a pitching staff now. Just saying. Because, if they don't know, luxury tax, once you go over the luxury tax, what the Mets are, that money then goes to the bottom 5 organizations in payroll. That means the Guardians, Pirates, Rays, A's, and I believe the 5th one is the Tigers. All get money from however much the team goes over the luxury tax. So, yeah. Look, as a Giants fan, I'm happy. As a baseball fan, I'm ecstatic. As a fan of good baseball, cool. Like, I don't care. I'm tired of seeing these stupid contracts. 10-year contracts need to be thrown out the door. 10-year. Oh, like they need to do a max contract like the NBA, like 4 years, 7 years, capped amount, total amount you can do. Like, there needs to never be a 10-year contract again.
Well, I mean, you could throw plenty of money at me and that will solve all of my problems. But that won't help as an MLB franchise as well, too. But definitely it's a smart move long-term for San Francisco. I think we're in agreement as well, too. But that's going to do it for the High Low Sports Podcast. Hey, we appreciate y'all for joining us. Once again, outlier.bet/High Low Sports. Sign up, get a free trial, sign up for 7 days. Bet smart and not hard as well, too. Happy Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah. If you don't celebrate the holidays, you just want to enjoy the time off with your family, whatever you need to do, enjoy it. And we hope you guys have a very happy weekend and stay warm out there as winter is coming and it is here.